Hi, I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Rachel.
For our cooking show, we're cooking miso soup.
So for the first step, we're going to take our bowl, and after we take the seaweed out of the bag, we're going to take our food scissors and we're going to cut the seaweed into smaller pieces.
Seaweed is a type of algae that can be consumed. Most seaweed is farmed in the seas near China, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Japan. Ropes are tied in the shallow water that is less than a meter deep, and seaweed grows on the rope. Seaweed needs virtually little to no care and gets all its nutrients from its environment. They are able to grow in winter even up to 6 inches every day. Most seaweed is hand-picked. Seaweed farming helps preserve coral reefs by bringing diversity to the reef, attracting more fishes. Demand for this product is growing, thus farmers are expanding and trying to develop more ways to increase yield.
So for our next step, we're going to rinse out the seaweed. So we're going to fill the bowl with water, and while that's happening, we're going to kind of stir the seaweed around with our hands. And after the bowl is filled up with a good amount of water, we're going to drain the water from the bowl. And after we're done with that the first time, we're going to do that 2 more times. So we're going to fill the bowl with water again, and we're going to set the seaweed bowl on the side so the seaweed has a chance to soak in the water and kind of expand so it's not as stuck together. I'm going to fill the pot up with hot water just to make the cooking a little bit easier because we already have some hot water ready. I'm going to take the pot of hot water over to the gas range, and I'm going to turn on the heat to an 8 to let the hot water sit there with the lid on top of the pot.
Miso is a base for soup made of fermented soybeans mixed with salt. Tofu, another ingredient, is also composed of soy. About 80% of the soybeans are made in the upper Midwest in crop rotations with corn. The ideal climate is warm with ample water and sun. Soybeans are planted early before corn in cold weather to ensure more yield later. Upon maturity, they are hand-picked for better quality soy. Soybeans fall under the grain farming section, which is the 4th ring on von Thunen's model because they're considered a type of grain.
In the meantime, I'm going to start cutting the tofu. So first, I'm going to take the tofu out of its packaging, and I'm going to take it over to the sink, and I'm just going to gently rinse it off with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to take it over to this circular cutting board that I have here. Now I'm going to start cutting the tofu, and you can kind of cut the tofu however you want depending on the shape and the size of the tofu that you want. But just remember that this is really soft tofu, so cut carefully and be gentle, and remember to be careful while you're cutting the tofu. Now I'm done cutting the tofu, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in a bowl and take it over to where the hot water is cooking on the gas range. Make sure it's boiling first before you put the tofu inside of the pot after you take the lid off. And remember, you don't have to have the lid on while this is cooking. It just makes everything inside of the pot boil faster. Drain the water out of the bowl, and we're going to take the seaweed over to the pot that's cooking the tofu. Now you can put in the desired amount of seaweed that you want into the pot. The next step is to wash the scallion, also known as the green onion. After that, we're going to take it over to the cutting board and cut a little bit off of both ends.
Green onions are actually premature vegetables harvested early while their leaves are still green. This type of onion is mostly grown in Asia in the ideal climate of 66 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Soil needs to be well drained, loose, and nitrogen rich. They are harvested in spring before they are fully grown. These green onions are hand-picked even by commercial farmers.
You can add as much as you want depending on how salty you want your soup and how much soup you want to cook at once. But here, I have an organic miso that also has mild sodium. I'm going to take 2 scoops of miso into the bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it over to the pot. And I'm going to scoop some of the soup into the miso bowl, and I'm going to use that hot soup to kind of soften up the miso before I put it into the pot. And I'm going to stir the miso into the soup. Now we're ready to add the green onions into the soup, and we're going to stir that all in. I really love miso soup. Growing up, I drank miso soup very often. My dad really likes to cook, and he would always cook miso soup for us. Once everything is boiling, you can do a taste test if you want to make sure the soup is at the level of saltiness that you desire. And now it's ready to serve. Enjoy!